Hey, what's going on? Joe McCall. Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. Super glad you're here. I love doing these shows because we're going to talk to some cool people like Robert Wensley. And we're going to be talking about how he and other investors are going from $0 to $1 million months using one simple software. It sounds crazy, sounds spammy. I know, I get it. But listen, just bear with me. Pay attention here. This is really important. And we're going to give you an opportunity to get in on this software if you're interested. This is legit. I personally know people that are using it and are crushing it with this software. It's a super powerful software that helps you find the most active investors and buyers that are buying in a community. And it gives you a platform to market your deals on. And there's people that are killing it with this thing right now. And don't think it's just another prop stream or something like that. No, this is completely different. And you're going to like this. And I'm honored to have the guest, Robert, on the show with me today. And we're going to show you some screen shares and all of that. So listen, if you are listening on the audio podcast, I'm glad you guys are here, but we're going to be sharing some things on the screen. You might want to go to my YouTube channel and you get the video of this. All right. I appreciate you listeners, your audio listeners. But today in this podcast, you'll probably need to go to YouTube to watch this video. Another thing too, listen, if you like this channel and you like the stuff that we're giving to you, please give us a thumbs up, like these videos, and subscribe to my channel. I am working on, I'm building out my studio, getting some cool things, if you can see in my background here. And I'm still working on this, but we're going to be doing a lot more content and education and helping people. And it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So I'm going to bring Robert on. And Robert Wensley, how are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing amazing. Just out here in Scottsdale for Carlos Reyes and Sal Shakir's event, All in Freedom. Awesome. Beautiful place.
It is
so
beautiful.
Super happy to jump on. I think your listeners are in for a treat today.
Yeah.
I have a guy, actually, he's flying right now. He's probably going to be landing while we're recording this, that over the last 24 months has gone from pretty much zero wholesaling to over 2 million per month. There's a few people that have hit $1 million per month in assignment fees, but there's even smaller group that has actually achieved 2 million a month in assignment fees. So really excited to be on the podcast today, and hopefully we can give you guys the exact playbook on how we do it, how we're creating this new era of mega wholesalers that are data and tech enabled.
I love this because I've said this from the very, very beginning. It's all about finding the buyers first, finding out what the buyers want. It's so much easier to sell people what they want rather than what you have. And when you can find out what they want and you can bring it to them on a silver platter, I mean, you can make a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Business, right?
Yeah.
So talk about your background a little bit and how did you discover that build this software and what was the big need? Why did you do it?
Yeah, so I initially had zero plans of going into real estate. I did my undergrad at Harvard in finance and economics and was thinking about going and working on Wall Street. And then I, was doing these summer internships and just absolutely hated them. It's just, you're sitting there behind an Excel spreadsheet, being an Excel monkey, trying to make, some rich guy, gray-haired guy, another few $1 million so he can buy another yacht next year. I was like, man, this, yeah, I can make $100K a year, but I want to become a business owner because the guys I saw that were really enjoying their lives, they had that entrepreneurial lifestyle where they were their own boss and could do what they wanted. So I was, trying to think of business ideas, and I'm sitting in my dorm at Harvard, and I see, Tark and Christina flipper flop on HGTV. I'm watching that show, just killing some time. I'm like, man, this guy, he's making like $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 per deal. If I could just learn how to do that and do 1 or 2 deals per year, then that would be a lot more fun than working in finance. So, of course, I didn't have any money and I didn't know anything about house flipping back then. So I figured, hey, I'll go work for a house flipper for a few years, learn the business, almost like a master's degree out in the wild. And then once I learn the business, I'll go ahead and do it on my own. So started off working at a company called Express Home Buyers in Washington, D.C. And we were trying to scale up flipping. But
I know that guy.
Yeah, Brad Chandler?
Yeah.
Great guy. Super, super great visionary. Taught me everything I knew in the first 3 years. And we were trying to scale up flipping. But if you've ever tried scaling up flipping, you'll realize it's really hard to do. It's a great way to put yourself out of business real quick because you're going to be putting out millions and millions of dollars on the street. You got a ton of risks. scaling up construction is really difficult. So we tried scaling up flipping, didn't work. Then discovered wholesaling, and it was just like, mind blown. Like, oh my God, you can make almost as much money wholesaling, just flipping paper, than you can flipping. And you can do it way faster, and it's actually a scalable model. So that was the first
without the risk and all that liability.
Yeah, absolutely. The cash conversion cycle, people are like, oh, I can make twice as much money on a flip. I'm like, yeah, but in the time you do a flip, I could wholesale 10 deals.
Yeah.
So is it actually more money?
Yeah.
So that was the first business we took to $1 million a month. And then afterwards, I told Brad when I joined, I said, I'll work for you for 3 years. After 3 years, I'm going to quit doing it on my own. And so after 3 years, I left, started working on my own, and started building the software just for myself and my friends. Up until last April, it was just me and my friends using it. And, the second company that we used it with, they went to $1 million a month. The third company, they went to $2 million a month. So we saw that company after company was popping and like getting these crazy results that I never expected possible. Going into it, I thought maybe we'll get 10, 15, 20% boost, but we had these companies that were just shattering records. So last April we opened it up, and it just exploded.
Awesome.
And now I'm sitting here with you.
Well, I've been hearing about this thing, and I looked a little bit at it late last year, and I thought, this is really cool. And I just got busy. I kind of forgot about it. And then somebody put us together a couple of weeks ago, and I started looking more and more into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Robert, let's get you on the podcast. Yeah. Let's talk about it. So can we jump in and just kind of see what it is, and you can explain what it does kind of as you're showing it to us? Would that be all right?
Yeah, I'd love to. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Yeah.
We see it good there. There we go. And if you're, again, watching this, please zoom in. That's as big as I can make it right there. So
yeah. Cool. So fundamentally, what we've done is created, a marketplace for all the off-market deals. So you can see here on the map, these are all the off-market deals that have been listed on InvestorLift. It's just exploded. I think within about 3 to 6 months, we'll have more deals per month flowing through InvestorLift than all the iBuyers will be pumping per month combined.
So just to be clear, these are deals that are not on the MLS. These are deals that other investors are putting on here that they're trying to sell.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and you're not a wholesaler, you're flipping, you're looking for deals, also like jump on InvestorLift, create a profile.
Yeah.
Because this is where all of the biggest wholesalers in the country are all moving their deals. Carlos Reyes, Sal and Alex, Cody Sperber, Tarek Musa, you name it, all the biggest guys, Sean Terry.
Yeah.
If they're big, they're on the back end, it's InvestorLift that they're using to move their deals. So fundamentally on the front end, we're just trying to give a better buyer experience. It's 2022, and people are sending out like MailChimp email blasts with like, hey, here's a link to my Google Drive with the photos and stuff like, and spamming Facebook. And when you're trying to scale up, you can't scale when you're doing tactics like that. So it's 2022. So the first thing we did is just revamp the entire buyer experience. Where we basically have kind of like Zillow meets eBay, where people can come on, they can bid on properties, but then they can also, do the buy it now option, which is great as well. It helps people make a lot more money per deal. But this is the front facing side of things, that where the real magic comes into play is on the back end. And what we're doing on the back end is, think of it almost like the Wikipedia for buyers. Okay. So when I turn on cartel mode here, you see, I have profiles built on 3.6 million buyers across the country. Okay. Wow. So as users come on, they're building out profiles for buyers. And the cool thing about it is, like, if you have a buyer and I have a buyer, when you bring that buyer on, if I've already built out a profile for that buyer's already logged in or registered and put in their buying criteria, things like that. It doesn't create a duplicate profile. It just unlocks that existing profile. So if I want to look at like Scott Steinbeck here, for example, I can see, all of the deals that he's done. And what we're doing is we're geotagging them for all the areas that they invest in. And then the system will allow us to then go and send deals out to all the people that are actually active and interested in deals in that area. So no more like spam, spray and pray, just sending out deals to everyone. We're getting much more targeted here and actually sending out deals to people that are actually active and interested in buying deals in the area. So step one of what we're doing is, number one, building up profiles for all the investors across the country. Step two, what we've been doing is we've actually been monitoring all the data on what these buyers are actually doing when they come on the system. So every email click, every inquiry, address request, offer submission, all of that's been tracked and is actually scoring the buyers, almost like a credit score. Okay. And we're also scoring them based on all the deals that they're doing, not just on InvestorLift, but you can also link up their LLCs to pull in the deals that they're doing off of InvestorLift. So all these buyers are being built up, scored, and tagged for the areas that they're investing in. And what we're trying to get to is AI-based dispositions. So, Elon Musk famously has this quote. He said, if your competitor is racing to build AI and you're not, you're out of business. You just don't know it yet. So, every month we spin off 25 million plus emails. Over 50% of those are open. So about 12.5 million people are going and clicking on the site, looking at deals. And then after that, there's this whole journey of like, hey, did they look at the deal? Did they submit an inquiry? What did they do once they hit the site? And all of that data has been spin off. So we're spinning off hundreds of millions of data points that really show us at a really high scale what buyers are actually interested in.
Yeah.
And now what we've been experimenting with is feeding that into what we call like a neural network, AI. And by this time next year, what I believe is you'll be able to come into InvestorLift, click a button, and you'll see, hey, here's the top 10 guys that are the perfect buyer for this deal. Okay. We've actually already tested it on a couple of accounts. We ran a couple of tests. I ran a test with my buddy Corey Gary here in Phoenix, and we fed his deal into the AI, and it spit out 10 names. He called all 10 names. 8 out of 10 were interested in the deal.
Really?
He was like freaked out. He laughed, like walked over to Salesforce, like, guys, you gotta come see this. Check out this AI. This is crazy. So that's kind of like what we're getting to.
I just had Corey on my podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Corey's great. Corey's incredible. He was one of the first users on InvestorLift. So that's what we're trying to get people to is AI-based disposition. So where you can't fully automate dispo, but try and get to the point where literally you have a list of like, here's the 10 guys that will for sure buy this deal. And then we're going to take that to the lead level where even when your leads come in, you see a list of like, hey, here's the guys that are going to be interested in this deal. Here's the probability we think that they're going to be making an offer. And here's kind of a range of where we think their offers might come in at. So that's what we're trying to get towards. Right now, the AI is not live, but you have tools like God mode, cartel mode, things like that, which I won't dive into crazy deep on this webinar. But if you go on our site, you can watch full demos on how those all work. But the main thing is helping people sell deals faster at higher prices. So the average user that comes on, they usually have an assignment fee of under $20,000 when they join. Okay. Now the average assignment fee over the last 30 days was $34,000.
Nice.
So how do you go from $20,000 per deal to $34,000 on average per deal? The way you do it is by driving more demand, getting more buyers looking at your deal, but not just any buyers, getting the perfect buyers looking at your deal and getting those bidding wars going. If you get those bidding wars going, it's easy to make another $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 per deal. And then as a result, you end up making twice as much money per deal with the same amount, if not less work. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing.
By the way, those of you that are interested in getting more information, there's a 10% off coupon. If you go to joemccall.com/lift, joemccall.com/lift, and take a look at it and get it. That gives you a 10% off. Now, talk a little bit about this is built for. Oh, who is this for? Who's this built for? And who is it not built for?
Yeah, let's talk about who it's not built for. If you haven't done a deal, don't buy this, right? Like, you should be spending your money on marketing to go get your first deal, your first few deals. and reinvesting on the acquisition side so that you get to the point where now you're trying to scale dispositions. I think the earliest you should buy this is maybe if you're doing about 3 deals a month. All right, because you can kind of hack your way through selling a deal a month or 2 deals a month or even 3 deals a month. But once you start getting 3+ deals per month, I think it makes sense to go spend a little bit more money on tools so that you can start.
Oh, we lost you. Oh, no. We were talking before about Robert might lose his camera. There he is. We'll get him back in here again.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. You're back.
I'm
you warned me this might happen.
I don't know what's going on there.
The camera's getting too hot. But you're on your laptop now?
I'm on my laptop now.
Okay, so all right, good.
Still hear me okay. Yeah, so if you're doing less than 3 deals a month, I don't think it really makes sense to buy it because you should be investing in marketing. I'd love to, there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, take out a credit card and buy my product. But then what's going to happen is you're not going to get to that 3+ deals a month. You come on and then you're going to churn. And I don't want people, every customer that I bring on, I want to bring on for life. So
the great thing about that is it makes the platform better, doesn't it? Because if you're already an experienced investor and you're putting your deals on here, it just ensures that the buyers that are buying deals off of this platform, they know, hey, man, I'm going to get good deals here. Not a bunch of deals that a bunch of beginners are putting on.
Yeah, and our higher levels. So everyone starts off on Pro, which is kind of open to everyone. But then we have some higher levels. Pro doesn't come with buyers. It comes with tools to build your buyers list. It comes with something called God Mode, which will allow you to build your buyers list really, really fast and efficiently. But then once you hit about $100,000 per month, you can prove it with HUDs and you get another endorsement. Then we move you up to lieutenant level, which comes with about 900,000 buyers pre-built with emails, phone numbers, all of that. And then once you hit $250,000 per month in assignment fees with HUDs to prove it, then you move up to the highest level, which we call Cartel Boss, which has the full 3.6 million buyers, all their emails, phone numbers, geotagged, all of that. So what we're doing there is trying to do some quality control because there's a lot of guys that have tried to build deal sites in the past. I think last time I checked, there's 22 other deal sites. But what happens is if you get too many newbies coming on posting like junk deals that don't have proper numbers, then you're not going to attract the best buyers. You're going to scare away the best buyers because it's going to take them an hour or two just to find one good deal. So what we've done is tried to actually limit the number of people coming on and do some qualifications on who comes in, especially on the higher levels, so that we can keep the deal quality higher than any other platform. And I think that's been one of the successful things that has helped us really catapult and just explode past every other deal platform that's out there for off-market deals.
All right, so let me just kind of go back to that again. If you're just getting started, this may not be the platform for you, right? But if you're doing already a couple, 3 deals a month, take a look at this. And so somebody who is doing just a couple, 3 deals a month, what can they do again in InvestorLift in the platform? They can post their properties on there. Is that right?
So you can post your properties. And then we have you're going to bring on the entry level. What you can do is you can come on, bring in your buyers list, geotag your buyers, and send texts and emails through the system to your buyers to market your deals. But the strength of the platform then is going to be a function of how strong is your buyers list. We're not giving you a buyers list, but what we do give you is this tool called God Mode. And how God Mode works is, I remember when I was first trying to scale up nationally, we would go into a new market, and how we would build buyers lists, it was we would try to get MLS access, download all the cash realtors, then we get on PropStream, download all the cash buyers, skip trace those all, text them all, and like try to build our buyers list that way. And it does work, but it's really, really slow. You get a lot of false positives with cash buyers. So for example, like a lot of Persians, Middle Easterns, Asians buy stuff cash, and they'll show up in those data sets. I know my mother-in-law, she's 60 some years old. She bought her house in cash because she's Persian. She also bought a condo for one of her daughters in cash. So she shows up in the PropStream data sets as a cash investor and gets bombarded with phone calls of people calling her saying, "Hey, I got this sweet flip opportunity, 650 ARV. Are you interested?" And she has no idea what they're talking about. So what we found is like just looking at cash transaction is not a really fast and effective way to identify real estate investors. And we were trying to think of a better way of doing it. And the methodology we came up with is very simple, but very effective. It's much, much faster. And what we're doing is we pulled in all the tax record data for all the properties sold across America. And then we just started looking for properties that were bought and sold in a relatively short period of time with some sort of increase in price, somewhat relative increase in the actual price point of that property. So if something was bought 6 months ago for 400,000 and then last month sold for 600,000, like, what do you think the chances are that that was a flip?
Yeah,
probably like
Right.
99%, right?
Yeah, right.
And then when we see those, what we do is we tag that entity or that buyer as like, hey, this is a potential buyer. And then we ask our algorithms, hey, go back into the data sets, go back into the tax records, find everything else that this entity has bought and sold. And so the algorithms go, they find, hey, Joe McCall has done 27 different deals, and they'll bring those back and link them to a profile for you, Joe. And they'll give you 1,000 points to your buyer score every time that they link up a deal. And then for every city you've done a deal in, it's going to geotag you for those areas. So that what this will give any user on InvestorLift the power to do, even at the most beginner level, is you can come in on any deal that you have to sell, look at a map, stretch your radius out as far as you want, up to 15 miles, and see every single real flip that has happened around those deals, and then see all the names of who did those flips, what they bought them for, what they sold them for, when they bought them, when they sold it, hold time, profit, all of that. And then, but what really makes it powerful is you can just filter by buyer score, high to low. So if I'm in a new city, let's say I had a lead come in Seattle, Washington. I've never done a deal in Seattle, Washington. I would be 100% confident that I could sell that deal because I'll just go into God mode, set my radius out, see who the top 500 buyers are in that area that are doing 50, 100, 200 deals a year. And if you called, Joe, let's say you had a deal to sell and you had 50 guys to call that had all done over 50 deals in a market, what do you think the probability is that you're going to sell that deal?
Really high.
Really high. Yeah. So what we found is that approach is much, much faster and more effective than just looking at cash transactions. That's number one. Number two, the other challenge with building buyers lists is LLC skip tracing sucks. It's awful. If anyone tells you different, they're lying to you. I always say ours sucks. It just sucks less than everyone else's. What we did last year before introducing skip tracing is we tested 46 of the biggest skip tracers in the country and then picked the top 3 and plugged those in for LLC skip tracing. But still, you're looking at 5, 10, maybe if you're lucky, 20% accuracy rates on skip traces for LLCs. So you might have to burn through 20 phone numbers before you get the right one. So we're thinking, okay, how do we solve this and make it more efficient? And what we came up with is when you skip trace, once anyone on God mode skip traces a buyer, every other person on the network gets that skip trace. So at this point, pretty much the entire country, every buyer in the country has already been skip traced. When you come into God mode, you're not having a skip trace. The phone numbers are already there.
Okay.
And we're thinking about, okay, how do we make this even faster again? And then what we did is we gave the users the ability to validate or invalidate phone numbers. So you can mark a phone number correct or incorrect. So that way, if you went into, let's say, Seattle and you called 1,000 phone numbers and you marked them correct or not correct, when I come in later, I can piggyback off the work you've done. So we got thousands and thousands of discipline managers all across the country making phone calls and validating these phone numbers. So this time next year, I believe when you come into God mode, literally you'll have every single phone number for every single buyer. You don't have 20 different phone numbers to call. You just have the one that's the perfect phone number. And it saves a ton of time.
Yeah. Wow. So then what you recommend the investor do is just call all of those buyers that come up, right?
Yeah, call or text. I like texting because it's faster. But just put them through some sort of campaign. If the buyer score is really high, I'll call. If the buyer score is low, if I'm doing 500 buyers, I'll probably just text them if it's low buyer score. But usually what I'll do to start off, just to try to sell a deal really fast, come in, look at who the top 500 to 700 buyers are, and filter high to low buyer score, grab the top 50, and then I'll actually go deep on those. So one of the things that we introduced recently to really take the skip tracing to a next level is we're like, hey, LLC skip tracing sucks, but people skip tracing is pretty good, right? And we're like, what if we could solve LLC skip tracing just by, instead of skip tracing LLCs, skip tracing people? So are you familiar with open corporates at all?
No.
So Open Corporates is this really cool platform where they're scraping all the Secretary of State websites every month to pull in all the officer information, all the registered agent information, and put it in this open data set. And I was like, hey, what if instead of skip tracing the LLC, we go look up the officer or registered agent, and if we get a hit there, go skip trace that person. Because then we could go from like a 5 to 20% accuracy rate up to 60, 70%. So we called up Open Corporates and licensed their entire data set. Super expensive to do it. But we plugged in registered agent data from Open Corporates for every LLC that they have in America. And then when you have those really high buyer scored buyers, if you want to dive deep, instead of doing the LLC skip trace, I could go, let's say your LLC popped up. I could go click registered agents or open corporate search. It'll pop up your name and then skip trace you. And then there's probably about 60 to 70% probability that I get your phone number, and then I give you a call. I add you to the buyers list, and then once I've validated your phone number, everyone then on the network, when they come back to that same area, will see, hey, okay, here's Joe McCall's accurate phone number for this LLC. So really just trying to build like the Wikipedia, the one place to go for buyer.
Yeah. And again, if you want more information on this, guys, if you go to joemccall.com/lift, I do get a commission, but that link will give you 10% off coupon. So go to joemccall.com/lift, and there's a lot of videos in there that kind of demo everything that we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
So while we were talking, I was on the platform looking for some deals here in St. Louis, kind of where I'm at. And I'm finding some deals here. I don't know if they're deals yet or not. I haven't looked at them much, but some of these people are not from St. Louis that are advertising these properties. They have different area codes. They're from out of state or something like that. And some of these look like good deals. So I'm just wondering, like, so I've just found two with area codes that are outside of the St. Louis area. Who are these guys that are advertising these properties that I'm looking at now?
Yeah, good question. So what happened after we introduced InvestorLift is we created this shift in the market where it used to be, I think COVID helped with this as well. It used to be that if you were wholesaling, you were just wholesaling in your backyard. There was like a couple guys that were doing like multiple states or nationwide, but it was like very, very small, maybe a hand. I could count them on probably one hand who was actually trying to scale nationally. And 2-3 years ago, when you told someone, hey, I'm thinking about creating a nationwide wholesaling company, they would think you're crazy, right? They're like, well, I mean, that's insane. You got to have boots on the ground, right? Now, what happened is, and what was preventing a lot of people from really truly going nationwide was dispo. Like I remember the first time I tried going nationwide, we're doing $1 million a month in our home market. So we're like, hey, let's go tack on 5 more markets and do $5 million a month in 5 markets, right? It seems like it makes sense. Within about 6 months, we got our asses kicked so hard. We were back in our home market, licking our wounds, asking how the hell did we like screw this up so badly? And really what it came down to is dispo. It was actually easier a lot of times for us to get properties under contract virtually in some of these other markets. But the problem would always come when we tried to sell those deals. And if you can't sell the deal and find a buyer, everything you did on marketing and sales is wasted. All those marketing dollars, all the sales commissions, everything like that, all is 100% wasted. So we need to come up with a solution. I built InvestorLift to solve it, to allow you to be able to go sell deals anywhere. And once we launched that, what happened is guys would come on, they'd be in one market, and then 6 months later, they're in 5 markets, and then a year later, they're wholesaling across the whole country. My laptop, I think, is about to overheat, so I'm actually going to apologize. I'm going to actually move inside here.
Okay.
But continue talking.
So these are investors. These are wholesalers that are in Arizona, Colorado, somewhere else outside of Missouri. They're getting these properties under contract, and they are putting them on the platform for people like me to come and look at. But they're also getting information on who the active buyers are, and they're actively doing outreach, trying to reach those buyers about this deal. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can
Yeah.
come in, they can see, everyone in that area. If you're in that area, your chances are you're going to be in the data sets, and they'd be able to look you up and, give the right deal to the right buyer. If you're buying 20, 30 deals a year in your market and I got a perfect deal for you, I want to reach out to you. So it doesn't matter where I am. I would say, like, we're creating this new era of mega wholesalers where you will be able to trade houses like trading stocks. And that's kind of the new era that we're trying to create.
All right. So talk about, are there some people using this platform to co-wholesale deals? You know what I mean by co-wholesale, where they will find somebody else that's already got a deal and then try to put it on here to wholesale it.
Yeah, there is. We do people are like, hey, can I like JV on your platform? Like, or is it like not allowed? My whole thing is like, wait, where you get the deal, I don't care about it as long as you're not posting deals without someone else's permission. Because I remember when we first launched, we had this issue where, someone would take a deal to 5 different companies and be like, hey, can you sell my deal? Can you sell my deal? Can you sell my deal? And then you got it going out at 5 different prices, which is, it's just retarded. So we've done a lot of stuff in the system where we only allow 1 copy of a deal at a time. Because I think co-wholesaling is fine as long as it's done right. As long as you don't have 5 guys trying to move the same deal. So we try to limit to like 1 company moving 1 deal. If you want to co-wholesale, it's fine as long as you have permission from whoever has the property under contract, and you don't have 5 guys putting out the same deal. There's ways to do JVing right, and there's a lot of ways to do JVing wrong. Like there's a ton of people who are giving investors a bad name because they're not JVing correctly. So we try to encourage people to do it correctly. And if they do it correctly, then, it's fine.
Nice. Really cool. This platform is amazing. I'm just looking at it now. And just summarize maybe one more time. If somebody's looking at this and thinking, oh man, I could sell my deals here, or this is a way to just help me make more money on each of my flips, what would be the first thing they need to do?
Yeah, so I would go to go to your link, sign up for a pro account. We run onboardings every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you signed up today, today's Wednesday, or whenever you're listening to this, you'll get an invite from our team to jump on an onboarding. And when we onboard you, either myself or my brother is going to teach you how to use the system to drive traffic to your deal. Okay. And how to post a deal, not just post a deal that is going to just sit there and not get any offers, but post a deal in a way that is going to drive a ton of traffic. So we're looking at the data all the time on what type of deals move really fast, which ones don't, what type of postings move deals really fast versus which ones don't. Like we found, here's some interesting stats I'm going to drop. And you can use this even if you're not on InvestorLift. We looked at the data on the number of photos it takes to sell a deal. If you post less than 35 to 40 photos, the number of offers you get is like next to nothing. Once you break about 35, 40 photos where people can actually see the layout of the property, what we find is the number of offers shoots through the roof. So like we'll teach you tips like that. Also, the average assignment fee for a property with a video walkthrough versus without. Properties with a video walkthrough make an average assignment fee of $7,200 more on average than properties without video walkthroughs. It's the same, right? So we'll teach you all this stuff on a video intro, and then we'll teach you how to use God mode to go build your buyers list and take it to the next level, finding the perfect buyer for every deal that is willing to pay a premium because the deal is so good for them. And my hope is, if people are listening to this, everyone comes in on pro, but if you're sitting at, a couple deals a month, 3, 4, 5 deals a month, and maybe you're making 50,000, 60,000 a month. If you plug in to God mode and you use it correctly, usually within about 2 or 3 months, you should be north of 100,000 per month. And then we'll move you up to the next level, to lieutenant level, where now you have 900,000 buyers already pre-built. Emails, phone numbers, everything, where you can click a button and go start blasting your deals to all the buyers in that area. And once you have that, usually, there's companies that will come on and tap into that. And then now their assignment fees start going up even more, and they start being able to do even more deal volume. And then before they know it, a few months later, now they're up at north of $250,000 a month. Now they're moving up to cartel boss level. Now they have 3.6 million buyers. And now they're able to sell stuff in any major city just like that. It's not going to help you as much in the rural areas, right? Rural areas are always tough. You probably have to do novations, things like that, if you've got too many deals in the rural areas. But if you're moving deals in major cities, Forrest Blackburn's on his way over right now. First month on InvestorLift, he did 40,000. The next month he did 200, then 500 and some, then 707, then a million, then 1.3 million. And then last January, he set a record on the system. His team put 2.7 million on the board with just a team of 5 guys.
Somebody's going to ask, how did he get those deals?
So most of our users, this is a good question. Most of our users are really PPC heavy. There's a million different marketing channels out there. They all work. If you're just getting started out, you don't have a lot of money, but you have a lot of time. So you're going to want to start off with, texting, cold calling, some of those channels that, take a lot of your time, but don't cost a lot of money. But what I always encourage people to do is once they get on and they're starting to, get consistent deals, you got to get into digital as fast as you can, because digital scales. You can't do 2.7 million a month with 5 guys if you're cold calling.
Yeah.
It's going to take you 30 plus leads, a lot of times on cold calling to get one deal.
Yeah.
Versus on PPC, the top teams are closing 1 in 8, 1 in 10 leads that come in just on autopilot through the website. They're
all over the country.
All over the country. So,
and that's something that's important to understand, guys. It's actually cheaper. Your cost per lead is way less when you're targeting the entire nation with Facebook ads or Google PPC ads.
Yeah, and I actually am not a proponent of true nationwide targeting. You can save a lot of money and get cheaper leads. But what I find is you get a lot of junk in a lot of junk areas, which then screws you up on dispositions.
Okay.
So you can get, if you're truly just went to Google ads and targeted the whole country, you can get $30 cost per lead. But if I look at the data and I look at the companies that are north of $500,000 a month, north of $1 million, the guys that have hit 2 million, none of those guys ever did true nationwide. Okay. They all picked a handful of really good markets where the metrics made sense and went deep on a handful of really good markets. Like the first company that did $1 million a month, they did it with just 5 markets. And so what you'll find is if you focus more on the major cities, your cash conversion cycle is going to increase. Okay. Yeah, your marketing cost is going to be higher, but your cash conversion cycle is way, way better. I always say there's only 2 metrics that matter in this business. If you want to get to $1 million a month, number 1 is return on ad spend. For every dollar we plug into marketing, how many dollars do we get back? And number 2 is a cash conversion cycle. How fast, when we plug $1 into marketing, how fast are we getting that back? I have a friend, I was just on a call with Josh Cohan. His top campaign right now, for every dollar he plugs into it, he gets $33 back. And his average cash conversion cycle on that campaign is less than 40 days.
Wow.
So, Matt, he's got a money printing machine where he plugs in $1.
Yeah.
And less than a month and a half later, he's pulling out 33. If you look at the top hedge funds in the world, maybe make 20% a year on their money. And they have a wait list of people that are trying to get take my money. But these guys are doing 10x, 50x, 20x, some guys even 33x on campaigns, which is absolutely incredible. You're not going to get there overnight, but if you really focus on the data, you absolutely can get there.
Guys, awesome. And you guys help investors with that, with some training. I'm assuming there's some networking that goes on behind the scenes with other InvestorLift users.
Absolutely. It's funny. I have users who are like, Robert, even if you didn't have software, I would pay just for the community. Our community is super, super strong because it's all guys that are doing real deals. A lot of times these guys go to other masterminds, they walk into the room and they're the biggest guy in the room versus they come on InvestorLift and they're sitting there. We just had what we call our Cartel Boss Summit. Once a year, we get all the cartel bosses together. We went down to the Dominican Republic for this last one. And now you're sitting in a room where everyone in the room is doing north of $250,000 per month in assignment fees earned. So really strong community. The big guys help the small guys. Small guys help the big guys too. Everyone's helping each other. and we do office hours every Thursday. And the Facebook group is really, really strong. The other thing too is those office hours, what we'll do is we'll bring on some of the top guys in the nation onto those weekly calls and have them walk through their business, talk exactly how they achieve certain things. Like, hey, check out my Google Ads account. Here's how I'm doing this. Check out my Facebook ads account. Here's how I'm doing this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, here's how I structure my call center. So we're taking all the best practices and trying to disseminate those across the entire network.
Oh, that's awesome. It's exciting. We're past our time, Robert. I appreciate you being here. Sorry for keeping you late. Robert Wensley from InvestorLift. Guys, if you want 10% off, you want to go check this out. This is for serious players only. Go to joemccall.com/lift, joemccall.com/lift. I can vouch for it. I've been looking in it. It looks amazing. I know guys that are using it that are like, don't tell anybody about it. So it's really cool. You're gonna appreciate it. And thank you for being on the show, Robert. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Joe. This has been a blast. And we'll hopefully take a lot of your listeners to the next level, and let's get some of them scaled up to our plus months.
Thank you, Robert. We'll see you guys later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.